All right, let's dig into Angie. This is the deluxe edition of Spill Tab's debut album, Angie. And if you don't know her yet, Spill Tab is Claire Chicha. This is a French American singer, songwriter, and producer who's been quietly building something real since her 2019 breakout. No hype machine, just good music and word of mouth. Right now, she's writing genuine momentum. The deluxe rollout has come with new visuals, new singles, and live shows that fans are calling her best yet. Case in point, she recently played a sold out set in LA while recovering from laryngitis. This is the level of commitment that she's bringing to this era. We're calling it the Angie era. Angie is sort of a she. This is Angie is like a creative, just like a fictional persona that she creates like outside of herself when she's really talking about herself. So it's kind of like I think Beyonce had the Sasha Fierce kind of thing, and so Angie is her version of that, and it gives her the ability to write about herself and write about her experiences with a little bit of distance, feeling being a little bit removed to be able to give her the the leeway to be able to write some of these songs. And the deluxe version, so Angie is the deluxe. The original Angie dropped. It was just called Angie, dropped it back in 2025. I think it was like late 2025, and this is the deluxe joint. It added four additional tracks, um, but it's perfect because it doesn't. It's not just like additional tracks for some sort of like cash grab or anything like that. It's cohesive to the headspace, and it's coherent to what the original project was about, but just a little bit more daring. What makes Spill Tab worth paying attention to is how she thinks about sound. Production isn't an afterthought; it's the whole story. The Angie universe is genre fluid in the best way. I loved this interview she had with shout out to and I'll put some footage here to Danny Brown. Danny Brown has a podcast, and he's interviewing some artists on occasion on there, but he had her on there, and they're just like for the most part they're shooting the shit, and he does a great job of like his personality. Danny Brown is just what I love about his music is his personality shines through, and he tells the truth about his story, about his journey, and everything. And he's talking to her about this the making of the music, talking to her about just other stuff in life and what she's going through, and some random questions come up that like what would she do in some random situation like she had a clone, for example, right? If you could have a clone, what would you do? Go check out the episode because his answer is hilarious. His answer is hilarious on that joint. Um, but this universe that she's creating on there, and she explains to him how she is evolving in her creativity. She's evolving in her craftsmanship, and uh, this this project allows her to not just have some escapism, but have some catharsis in this whole thing. So I love that. Go check it out for a little bit more details on that. And one of the questions he asked her was about what do you feel when people call your projects genre bending? And I thought about it when I was like, hey, that's a good question. Like, how do artists feel about people calling their stuff like that? Now, in general, like I know in hip hop we have the conversation about is this real hip hop? Is this true hip hop? Or we call something boom bap? Or we call something conscious rap? So these categories, and like sometimes these rappers wear it like a badge of honor, which is something maybe backpack rap. They wear it as sort of a badge of honor, be like, no, this is my lane. I do this sort of thing. And but sometimes it can be limiting. And Angie talks about that. It can be limiting. But she was at least open enough to the idea that I'm gonna make the music that I want to make. I'm gonna make stuff that sounds good to me, stuff that allows me to express my creative um, uh, endeavor, my creative, just like um, just whatever I'm thinking of creatively, wherever I am at. I just need an outlet, my a creative outlet is what I'm looking for, and but she understands that like people like me, like Darwin Darko, these I'm gonna want to talk about this. So there's music critics, there's industry people, there's A&Rs, and all these other people that like they're not musicians. I'm not a musician. I'm not a musician by training. I'm not a musician. I'm just a fan. and they want a way to talk about these artists. And part of the language is, here's a particular genre. You label something a particular genre. This is country music. You label that, and now you're having a country conversation. You label something as a soundtrack for a movie. Now you're having this sort of conversation. So like labels kind of matter in that sense of the discussion of digesting the project. So she's like, I get it for them, and if they want to call it genre bending, um, everything is pretty much a lot. Pretty much everything is genre bending these days. This is her words, and that's cool. If that's how y'all can describe it when y'all trying to discuss it and break it down. I'm just making music that feels good and sounds good to me. Sometimes it might incorporate some electronica. Sometimes it might like just like folk electronica. Like what? like for those things to match together. Or you'll have like rock rap. We've seen a lot of that recently. Um, and so that's cool. That's cool if you want to do if you needed those kind of labels to kind of be able to discuss it in a coherent way. That's fine. So I love she's like, it's almost like a permission structure for what I do here because I feel like I use the term genre bending a lot because like that's what they're all doing. So I like I'm onto something. A lot of her stuff could be described as bossa funk, electro clash, R&B, jazz, new wave, ambient folk. So she's a little bit all over the place with the genre. But if you are a person that enjoys music in all its forms, then you'll be okay with. She might take you on one journey, a particular journey. Um, as long as it's coherent and as long as it's intentional, I can appreciate that. You drop an electronic track on a Jill Scott project that don't make sense. Like she has a drum and bass joint on there, or she has a go-go track on her last project. Jill Scott does. It makes perfect sense the way it falls in, the way the sequencing and it happens. So I love that. Like it was intentional. You do that, you you cool with me. You got a thumbs up for me. She co-produces alongside John Hill on this project. So um, she has that input in the music making process, not just the vocals. So it allows her to have her fingerprints all over each track, even from close up mic vocals to intimate textures. Nothing's overproduced. Everything keeps her front and center. The four deluxe editions push into a little bit of a softer, more vulnerable territory, but they're still alt pop. Again, this is another genre bending thing. They blur the edges of all that stuff, and it fits right into to the vibe. So it's great additions to the project. Some tracks for you to wet your palate. Again, you should be doing a full listen for the whole project, but to tippy toe into that thing, wet your toe. Pink Lemonade. This one is high energy electronic fizz opener that sets the summer adventure tone. Athlete. This is a soft late night confessional that has become a fan favorite for its dreamlike vulnerability. Hold Me is melodic. It's a post breakup anthem that uses a broken down piano to create a haunting ringtone like hook. Romer is one of the deluxe joints on this thing. It's raw. It's edgy track about contemporary aimlessness that perfectly captures her new era, the Angie era, in this whole expansion. It's a vibe. But I would be remiss if I didn't shout out the title track, Angie. Love the lyrics on here. I have you lined up. I have you lined up. She sings it there. I have you lined up. Angie, you're on my mind. And she's talking about myself. She's talking about herself. Angie, you're on my mind. I hate you. I don't. I don't. I don't hate you. But Angie, she's on my mind. Big times. But this time, I'll tell you anything. Make a fool of me. Make a fool of me tonight. Behold by desire. Beholden by desire. Darling, your name. Plays on. Plays on. The back brain. I have you lined up. Angie, you on my mind. I hate you. I don't. I don't. I don't. Angie, she's on my mind. You know, you got to consider yourself. Think about yourself. And even if you need to detach from it for a second to be on the outside looking in, I do that all the time. Thinking about future Darwin, thinking about past Darwin. What would he think about what I'm going through right now, what I'm doing right now, and what am I doing right now to set myself up for success in the future? Or what mistakes am I making currently that my future self is going to pay for? Or what did my past self do that I'm currently paying for now? And so I can understand that detachment. Maybe I'll call that the avatar Darwin Darko, right? Well, I identify I'm Darwin Darko, but all these versions of yourself that for you to have perspective. It's all about perspective. It's really what she's talking about this track, and I love that being the title track. It's the title of the album, and it's a dope moment in the project. It comes closer towards the end, but it's not towards the end, so it's a great positioning on the project there. If you need a one liner about what this thing is all about, maybe think late night city wandering, right? You're just like musing about your experiences, your life, and what's been going on with your day, even. Think quiet streets, neon reflections, that specific mix of restlessness and clarity you get when you're walking somewhere alone and your brain wanders on. What could that be? It sounds like Angie, Angie, Angie. It's experimental without being cold and emotional, honest without doing too much. The balance is harder to pull off than it sounds, but she does it. Spill Tab does it on this project. Bottom line, this isn't just a deluxe cash grab. It's a fuller picture of an artist who's growing fast and knows exactly what she's doing. Spill Tab is telling her truth track by track, and Angie shows that she's nowhere near done.